That's a Black Panther poem, a breakdown of the Willie Lynch letter by Anita Black, done in 1978 for young children to help them understand exactly what the letter was all about. And what we get from that particular point is that whites actually went after black males in order to make them submit like a horse to white domination. But the person they used the most was black females. And once they got black females to the point, either by force or by manipulation, to accept white dominance and teach that white dominance to her children, they basically were guaranteed to have future generations of Negro slaves for basically until something changed the positions. So one of the things that was done in the different slave trades is that the black men were killed or put separately from the females. The females were, messed around and broken down and until she accepted any white male to ride her like a horse. And at that point, she was willing to do whatever they told her to do in order to save her black children, particularly her black male children. But instead of teaching those black male children the importance of their blackness and the fact that these whites were demonic and doing demonic acts, and that was not something to fear, that was something to abolish, that was something that you should fight at every turn. She, of course, many taught their children to just bow down, to accept these things, and to not go against the slave masters for fear that they would be killed. So, black females still today, still play that same role for whites. You have all of this commotion of single mothers, and what that does is it keeps the black male, the father, out of the picture, and it puts the black female, the mother, at the head of the household. And the reason that this is still going on is because each generation, the mother is the first teacher. So if whites can get that mother to go along with the white supremacist black inferiority teachings that blacks have gotten over the years from white entities, then that's less work that whites have to do. So, black mothers are expected they're threatened by whites that they must put their children in white-controlled schools. Now, understand that black women generations ago knew that white teachers, white administrators did not want their Negro children in white schools. So why would these people certainly make it a crime for your child not to be in school? Well, that's because when in the 1960s, the late 1960s, they actually developed a plan. Well, if we're going to have to put these children in school, then we may as well put them in there the way that we want and teach them the things that we want. This became a asset to white people versus a liability that they thought it was. So now your white people are okay with the fact of black children being there, in that they now have access to these young black minds for 8 hours a day without the black parents around. So they can literally teach these black children how wonderful whites are and how much they should accept white domination, while at the same time teaching these black children how insignificant and inferior black people are, and how these black children should conform to white society in order to be accepted. And it works like a charm. Black mothers, sent their children to these schools and did not, demand that black education be always a part, the biggest part of their education. So now you have black children that have 4 generations that know very little about slavery, know very little about what whites did to blacks, and are now programmed to think of whites as wonderful and superior, and to think of blacks as inferior, as the problem. And so it was mothers' jobs, it was women's jobs to teach children from birth and pre-birth how important it was to be black. I mean, part of the black community and part of the black society, part of the black economy, and part of this black world, what this black world was like before whites came here to kill blacks. And, there's a lot of information that black mothers were supposed to pass down to black children. And with the so-called integration, black mothers sort of advocated, the whole premise of white people are not that bad, white people are actually good, and black people are the problem. And so now that's what black children feel. But, the thing about last names, it is a mother's responsibility when doing pre-birth and at birth and that first few years to back up that father as to how important that father's last name is. It's up to the mother to make sure, along with that black father, that the child gets the father's last name, no matter what society says, no matter what agency says, no matter what hospital says. This is your name, and this is the name that you carry from your father. And, both black male and black female allowed white society to decimate black names and black namesake, to decimate black bloodlines and decimate black traditions and family trees. So they each have their part that they played in what we see today. So we're going to talk about some of the issues that black women are going to have to go through. We talked about the things that whites did to black women in making them feel like they were the head of the family, that they didn't need a man, that they could do it all on their own. And in trying to do so, you had black women of the past 4 generations out there working like men, trying to provide for their family. And the problem with that is that somebody has to be there with the children. And so that's how you know that something is natural or from God, from nature, is that it has balance, it has order. So when black males are out there with the strength that God gave them and the ingenuity that God gave them, creating a living and getting food and necessities for the family, you have the black woman there with the children, nurturing and making sure that they're okay, and teaching them. And then, of course, the black father comes back and the family is together.